Good morning. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Free Press Media Press Inc., an alternative parties books publisher, sponsors this podcast. I'm Andrew Bouchard. Welcome to the Long Live Alternative Parties podcast. Today, friends, we have another exciting guest on our podcast. He's running for office. His name is Alex. He's with the Green Party. So welcome to the podcast, Alex.
Great to be with you.
Alex, let's get started by you first kindly telling us what office you're running for, and then we can get your background.
So I'm running for Township Auditor in East Norriton. For those who don't know what a Township Auditor is, it's basically like a city controller, except it's at the local level. So we basically dot the I's and cross the T's to make sure that taxes are being spent the way they're supposed to be spent.
Okay, cool. I look forward to discussing that in detail. So please give us a brief background sketch of yourself.
So I grew up in East Norriton, Pennsylvania. It's in the suburbs of Philadelphia. I went to public school my whole life, and now I'm working on and off on a degree in computer science from Montgomery County Community College. I was involved in activism from a young age. For many years, I did community service through the Cub Scouts and then Boy Scouts. I eventually achieved the rank of Eagle through my community service. Everything from cleanups to historical documentation to laying out flags in cemeteries. I'm also an essential worker. I've worked as a night stalker for the past 3 years throughout the entire COVID pandemic, stocking shelves at a supermarket. And in my free time, I do open source software development.
Oh my, that's a lot of stuff. That's good. Good starts for conversations. So, Alex, you said you were an Eagle Scout. What did that teach you about life that you can apply to politics?
I think the reason that I care so much about the environment is because of scouting. Just being out in nature has always calmed me and made me feel serene. And I sort of saw what needs to be preserved. And I also saw the way that industry was destroying the things that I cared about. And so it really turned me into a green in a way, having those experiences.
Interesting. So as we discussed at the top of the show, you're running for auditor, and one thing that stands out to me is you're a Green Party individual and you're concerned about fiscal responsibility. Usually you hear people who are right-wing or maybe libertarian concerned about that. So this goes to show, does it not, that people on the left can be also concerned about such things?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. I think it's personal and global responsibility is actually one of the 10 key values of the Green Party. And so it's not just a right-wing thing. Everybody across the whole political spectrum agrees that if your tax dollars are designated for X, they should be spent on X. They shouldn't be spent on something else or siphoned or anything like that. So when I talk to people in my neighborhood, even right-wingers and Trump supporters, they agree with me because for auditor, we're in complete alignment.
So for your race, is it a nonpartisan race, or do you get to identify as a Green Party member?
It's a partisan race, yes. So there's one Democrat on the ballot, and then it's me, a Green, for one seat.
Okay. So there's a Democrat and a Green, no Republican then, right?
That's correct.
Oh, wow. Wow, it sounds like an interesting possibility. So what is your platform for this race?
So as an auditor, I can't really change the way that tax dollars are spent. So I don't have any policy proposals per se. But what I can do is ensure that tax dollars are going where they're supposed to go.
Okay.
So number one, voters can trust me because I take no corporate money, and neither does my party. And I'm the only candidate on the ballot for any race who can say that, including my opponent. And then me and my party also have no institutional power in East Norriton or in Montgomery County. So we have no incentive to cover up for those who do have power.
Okay. So what are the demographics of that area? You told us earlier that it's a suburb of, you said Philadelphia, right?
That's right.
Okay, so specifically, what are the demographics of this community?
So it's a mix between poor and middle class. Of course, the only class I really believe in is working class. But there's people from anywhere from like $50,000 a year to $150,000 a year. We're actually a part of the Norriton School District.
Okay.
And Norristown itself is a much more working class town than East Norriton is. So, you know, when I grew up and went to public school, I was interacting with all different kinds of people.
Oh, good. Sounds like a good experience.
Definitely.
So, yeah. So what is your strategy for reaching the voters in this area?
So the primary strategy is there are 8 polling places, and we'd like to have a dedicated volunteer covering all of them throughout the entire day.
Okay.
Right now we're about halfway there. And if we have a strong presence at these 8 polling places, I think we'll definitely win because I don't expect our opponent to have that.
Oh, yeah. That's a good way to see it. So it sounds like you have I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, in addition to the election day volunteering, we're going door to door, knocking on everyone's doors in East Norriton, especially the districts 1-3 and 1-1. The
Okay.
strategy there is if we completely cover those districts, 100% doors knocked, then we can look at the election results comparatively and see how much of an impact it had.
Oh, sure. So this election is one of those that are coming up in the next couple of weeks, right? Because we're recording this in the end of October. Is that correct? Or is that for 2024?
This is 2023. It's on November 7th, so less than 2 weeks until the election. It's definitely crunch time at this point.
Sure. What are you doing differently because it's crunch time?
Well, one thing is we have a lot more resources now. We were fortunate to receive donations from the Montgomery County Green Party. So we ordered doors hangers. We ordered flyers that are really nice, yard signs that are going to be present at all the polling places and throughout the township. They should arrive on Monday, I'm hoping. And then we'll have a very visible presence in the township, and our opponent does not. So that's another reason I think this is a really good opportunity for us.
Yes, it sounds like it. So because you're being up for election on the 7th, it sounds like you made the ballot. What was the ballot access process like there?
It was a challenge, I'll tell you that. The Democrats and Republicans write the law for the ballot, so they're the ones who put up the barriers. And essentially, for a Democrat or Republican to run in this race, they would need like 10 to 20 signatures, something like that. That would get them on the primary ballot, and then they'd advance to the general election. For me, as a third-party candidate, I needed 2% of the total of the last election's winner. So for me, that was about 57 signatures. And then, of course, you have to get more than that to make sure that you survive a challenge. Luckily, we weren't challenged. But in the end, I ended up turning in about 73 signatures.
Oh, good.
And the thing that made it extra challenging was I actually got COVID in like the weeks leading up to the petitioning period. So I was in quarantine, not able to collect, and we ended up having to do everything in almost a week. So it was like nonstop door knocking. I took off of work and just focused on signature gathering. But I'm an experienced petitioner. I've petitioned to get many green campaigns on the ballot. So in the end, we were able to pull through with the help of our volunteers.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Congrats on making that. That's a big feat.
Thank you.
So yeah, it's good that now you got that through. You can focus on the campaign in general. So you discussed about the auditor position, about fiscal responsibility and how they're watching the tax dollars. Specifically, what are some of the day-to-day activities that the auditor would do there?
So East Norriton Township has 3 auditors, and we're a really small township. It's basically, there's 2 big roads. There's Township Line and Germantown Pike out here in the suburbs, and East Norriton is just squashed in between these 2 busy roads. So there's not really day-to-day responsibilities. What the auditors do is they meet 4 or 5 times a year in person, and there's a company that actually does all the math with the budget of the township and basically fills out an audit. And then us 3 auditors, we sit around at the table and we review this report, and we make sure that everything looks the way it should, that there are no financial discrepancies, and that everyone's tax dollars are being spent responsibly. And we basically come to a consensus, the 3 of us, and then sign off on the audit. And then the township is then able to spend money.
Okay. So if by chance the township is not using certain funds correctly, what happens?
So we would not authorize the audit. We wouldn't sign off on it as auditors, or at least if we disagreed, there would be at least one person that didn't sign off. And then the supervisors who created the budget would have to revise it, because you need the audit to pass in order for money to be spent.
Sure. So it sounds like it's the similar process to private companies, what they would do for an audit.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very similar.
Okay. So you talked about your strategy was going door to door, because it sounds like it's a smaller community. So are you also using social media, or are you focusing entirely on the in-person stuff?
We have a little bit of a social media presence, but I would say social media is like 10% and in-person is like 90%. The one thing social media really helps with is planning meetings.
Okay.
We use an open source platform called Jitsi a lot of the times to meet, because it allows people from all over Southeast PA to come in, even if they wouldn't be able to make it in person.
Oh.
So that's been hugely helpful. We set up Facebook events and then put a Jitsi link, and it's very easy and convenient to set up campaign meetings and events that way.
Okay, so what is the name of that platform again? I haven't heard of that before.
It's called Jitsi.
Oh, okay.
And, yeah, what I like about it over Zoom is that it's free and open source, and I'm a big anti-copyright guy, so I really enjoy using it.
Oh, interesting. So you like Linux type stuff?
Yep, I'm a Linux user for sure.
Okay, interesting. So given that, how it is where in your area that you're using this platform, and you said you have people from out of the area helping your campaign too, right?
That's right. We have a few Greens from Bucks County, which is our neighboring county to the north.
Okay.
And they help out. And then I also sometimes collaborate with members of the Keystone Party, which is essentially the Keystone Party is moderate libertarians. They split off from the Libertarian Party of Pennsylvania after it was taken over by the right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we interviewed them sometime back, over a year ago. So yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was an interesting interview. So the Keystone Party, they work with you because they also support environmental issues too, right?
Well, we don't have like a formal agreement or anything, but we both petition to get on the ballot, so we see each other throughout the year, and we just have a friendly relationship and a supportive relationship.
Okay, as alternative parties fighting the same system, same battle.
Yeah, you got to have solidarity. We actually sued the state of Pennsylvania, us together with the Libertarian Party and the Constitution Party, and we were able to get the ballot access requirements lowered.
Oh, good. That's exciting. Winning a court case is a big deal. Those are hard to win, from what I hear.
Yeah, of course we need more now because they're trying to kick us off the ballot again, but some victories here and there are good.
Okay, sure. Wow, that's interesting stuff. So, because we talked about you have people in other areas, our audience, they could, if they don't live right in your area, they could support your campaign, right?
Yes, they could. If they go to alexforauditor.com, that's a 4 FOR, that currently redirects to the Facebook page. and you can send us a message, and we can help you get involved remotely. And then soon that website is going to have a form to donate and also to order a yard sign if you live in East Norriton.
Okay. All right. So can you say that website address one more time, please?
Yes, it was AlexForAuditor.com, alexforauditor.com.
Okay. Sounds good. And the same would apply for people in your area, or is there another way people could get in touch with you?
Yep, that's the best way.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Alex, it was interesting hearing about your campaign and your experience and your perspectives, and also about the office itself. That's not an office we hear about all the time, so it was great to hear about that stuff.
It was great talking to you. I really enjoyed the conversation.
We wish you all the best in your campaign and also in your personal and professional endeavors.
Thank you. Same to you.
All right. Take care and all the best.
Bye.